Welcome to another episode of the Unprofessional Parenting Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lainey.
And we are the hosts of this podcast. And we're so glad that you decided to listen to us today. Lainey, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling okay.
Okay.
I'm doing all right.
All right.
Yeah. It's
All right.
just kind of one of those days. I got to get in the right headspace for this.
Okay. Is it a coffee thing, a caffeine thing, or is it just a sleep thing, or what are we talking here?
I don't think it's a sleep thing. I had a rockin' 2-hour nap yesterday.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't think sleep is a problem.
I remember walking into the bedroom and seeing a full blanket pulled over your entire face.
All the way over the head blanket,
And
2-hour nap.
That if there was a do not disturb sign in our house, that would be it.
Yeah.
And so I just went and sat on the couch and waited until you woke up.
Some days just be like that.
Sleeping Beauty.
Some days be like that.
Okay, well, today I kind of wanted to talk with you, just to have a conversation and maybe share some stories about our life and our time parenting. And just a reminder for those of you guys who listen to us, or maybe you're just popping in for the first time, this is called the Unprofessional Parenting Podcast for a reason. It's because we're not professional parents.
Far from it.
Yeah. We still have a lot to learn, and we are learning. And I don't think, again, there's such thing as a professional parent.
No.
I think we're all just like, cruising, trying to figure it out along the way.
I mean, there's some real trash parents,
Yes.
but the good ones are never professionals.
Right. Yeah. And then they can admit that they're not professionals either, right?
Yeah.
So today on this Unprofessional Parenting episode, I wanted to talk about moments that made our jaws drop. Moments that made our jaws drop. And we have a 13-year-old, soon to be 14. We have a 14-year-old.
She's almost 15, Matt.
Here we are. We have a 14-year-old, soon to be 15. We have a 13-year-old, and we have a 9-year-old, soon to be 10. 2 girls and a boy. And so these are stories that we've experienced in our parenting journey that left our jaws just dropped open.
Like the things that just make you go, wow, or wow.
Yeah, and I kind of want to take this in 2 different directions. The first path is the direction of, I can't believe this just happened and that we're actually having this conversation in this place.
We have a lot of those.
Yeah, that kind of jaw-dropping moment where you're like, this cannot be really happening in this moment, right? The other pathway that I would like to discuss on this is the pathway of, wow, I'm so impressed that this just happened. It is unbelievable what I just witnessed, and I'm so proud of the moment and my kids in this moment, right? And so there's 2 different pathways. There's a lot of different, instances where your jaw can just drop to the floor and you have no idea what to do next. But I want to talk about that. And I also kind of want to talk about, on the latter part of that, is how to celebrate those moments of the second pathway of the, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you for what just took place. And so we want to celebrate that, because the old saying is you replicate what you celebrate. So we want to do that in our kids' lives for sure. And how to avoid or to speak into the moments where you're just like, I can't believe we're having this conversation. Does this seriously need to happen? Like, you are almost an adult. Why are we having this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how we kind of avoid and how do we celebrate those moments, right? So I'm excited to talk about those things today. So Lainey, why don't you get us started? Maybe you can think of a time where you've experienced a jaw-dropping moment with one of our children. Tell us the story. Tell us about your mindset going in, what was happening, taking place.
Oh, there's no mindset going in.
Okay.
You're going about your day like a normal person
Yeah.
in most of these situations.
Yep.
There's no preparing your mind for these
Right.
moments.
Okay. Well, sometimes there is, yeah.
I think of the time everybody has a story when their kids cut their hair for the first time. That's like it might as well be a developmental milestone written into child development textbooks.
Yes.
Like,
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. You're not going to be able to avoid it. You think that you can do all the right things. You won't. They will find a way to cut their own hair in some aspect.
Right.
So
It happens.
it happened when our son, he was probably like 6 or 7 for the first time. And I don't even remember the story that well the first time it happened, because I think it was just like a chop out of his hair or something. And it kind of was just like, yeah, okay, well, this just happened. Like, he just tried to cut his own hair. And we're like, buddy, you can't do that. We'll just take you to get your hair cut if you want your hair cut. Okay, the jaw-dropping moment that we had was several months later.
Yeah, mind you, we've already had the conversation with him about, hey, this probably isn't a good idea.
Right.
We will pay money to go get your hair cut. Like,
Right.
we're not cheapskates there.
Right. He was really into this. He's not so much anymore, and I don't know if he like outgrew it, but it's
the
like
Lord. Praise the
when
Lord.
boys get designs in the side of their head or like the little lines, and I don't know why he's not into it anymore. I think it's kind of cute, but anyway, so he wanted these designs in the side of his head, and we would get it done. Like when he went to the barber, he would get lines in
Couple of racing stripes.
Yeah. So it wasn't like we were telling him, no, he can't have these things.
Right.
He gets out of the shower, comes out to where we are. Not one line.
No.
Not two lines.
No, it doesn't stop there.
Not
Yeah, keep going.
not one side of his head.
Yep.
Both sides of his freaking head had just like chisel marks.
The worst jaggedy
was-
squiggle line I've ever seen in my entire life.
It was chisel marks, but it was like little notches.
Right.
Little notches taken out all over the sides of his head.
Yeah.
And we're like, no. What did he do? So he fesses up to us
Yeah.
that he had started with our daughter's razor that she shaves her legs with.
Yes.
And he had started on one side of his head trying to do it. And he came to the realization, I can't do this. It doesn't look good. He didn't like it. He was like, this doesn't look good. I don't want to do this. So that was the jaw-dropping moment of like, well, we keep doing it. Second jaw-dropping moment took my breath away. Our then, she was probably 12 or 13 years old.
After that, there's time that had been spent between these two things, right? Or is this just one singular story?
This is one singular story. Do you not remember this?
I kind of remember this. I remember it in separate instances in my life.
Okay, then sit back and listen because this is one singular story.
I love this.
Because he was then saying, like, our daughter comes out and is like, oh, what's going on? Oh, you don't like the lines that I put into his head? You don't like this, Mom and Dad?
How old was she in this?
12, 13. Like, old enough to know.
You know better.
So what he had done was gone to her when he realized he didn't like how he did the first side and said, hey, can you help me with the second side?
You try to match me up, my fate on the other side.
And she was like, yup.
You know what? I can do this.
Yep. At 12 years old, yep, let's do this. And took her razor that she uses with her legs and chiseled out the other side of his hair.
Yeah.
I flabbergasted.
It was ridiculous.
Flabbergasted. I looked at him and I was like, all right, first of all, we've already talked about this. You know you shouldn't do this. You did it to both sides of your head. And then I looked at her and I was like, are you 3 years old?
Right. And you played a part in this.
You literally looked at him and went, yeah, that is really bad. Let me try to make it worse.
It's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
Man.
That was hilarious. So obviously we had a conversation with him about you don't do this. And then he goes and he takes the girl's leg and foot razor.
Ew, why you gotta bring the feet into it?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if they have hairy feet or not. I just assume. And then he takes it and he starts shaving a design in the side of his head. Man.
It wasn't really even the disobedience that got me. Like I don't recall being angry about him being disobedient.
No.
I was just
You look like an idiot now.
amazed. We sent him to school the next day too.
Of course we did. We
like,
couldn't. I made sure that we couldn't get a haircut appointment for the next few days after that.
We're not fixing
Just
that.
let
right
him live
away.
in the misery and sorrow of the mistake that he had made for a second, right?
Yep.
Like, you have fun explaining to your friends this, and the fact that our oldest daughter participated in this.
I can't.
Like she was there. She said, "I can do this."
She literally was like, "I got you."
Right. There's no. I mean, and I love her so much for her wanting to help and just be a good big sister in the moment. But a good big sister in the moment would probably be like, hey, first of all, don't touch my razor ever. Second, this probably isn't a good idea. We should stop immediately. But no, we're going to continue to go.
Yep.
I think my jaw-dropping moment, there's so many that happen on a weekly basis. I probably should write a log of...
We really should journal these things.
Because they're so hilarious sometimes. Yep. They're so frustrating sometimes. And you're like, what? I can't believe we're in this space having this conversation. Like, you are too old to be talking about whatever we're talking about and the decisions that you're making here. And so, like, when is it gonna click in your mind to like grow up and think differently? But that's where we come in as parents, right? We have to try to coach through and help them best that we can in the moments that we're caught off guard as well, right? The jaw-dropping moments. So for me, I remember took place a couple weeks ago, and I'm so sorry to say that it takes place with our oldest daughter. And we've had a bit of a cold snap here in good old Clearwater, Florida recently. And she goes to a school where they make her wear uniforms. And so she has a very limited wardrobe of what she can wear to school. And we made the point at the beginning of the year, before she started high school, to get her a couple of jackets and sweaters that were school dress code that she could wear to school. And she has decided she decided to make the conscious decision, basically, that she was not going to repeat an outfit whatsoever for school. And that means that she will not be wearing sweatshirts and jackets on the days that are 40 and 30 degrees outside because she's already worn it in the week. And so this was dumbfounding to me. I'm like, first of all, high school kids these days wear hoodies when it's like 98 degrees outside every single day.
There's a rule in our house that you can only wear jackets when it's hotter than 80 degrees.
Right.
And you cannot wear them when it's colder than 45.
Exactly. And so I looked at her, and we're getting ready to leave for school, and I'm like, where's your jacket? And she looks at me dead in the eyes in the most serious statement that she could make of her life and says, I've already worn it this week. And I said, okay, so you can't wear it again this week? And she's like, I've already worn it this week. And I'm like, you cannot be like this kind of human being right now. It is cold outside.
Yeah, she's like, I was in thermals that day.
And she was sticking to it. Like, this was her thing. I'm like, I couldn't even force her to go back to her room and put her jacket on. Because here's the thing that I'm running through my mind is, as I'm sitting there talking with her about, you need to wear a jacket. You need to put your jacket on before you go outside. I'm thinking in my mind, she's going to walk back there, get her jacket on, and the second she gets to school, she's going to take it off and put it in her backpack because she already has it in her mind that I can't wear this again this week.
Yeah.
And a jaw-dropping moment, I'm like, this is common sense for a child. When you were young, and your parents said, hey, you're not wearing enough clothing for outside because it's cold right now, what was your reaction?
I don't recall those moments. I really don't. We live in Florida.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't recall.
It's like about a week of the year that you got to wear the jacket.
I know.
Anyway.
And I don't remember like protesting wearing jackets though. But what I can halfway understand is, in her teenage mind,
the most important thing.
The most important thing is like whatever she's fixated on that people will judge her for.
Right.
Now, in reality, and that's what we're trying to like coach her through, is like, in reality, there's not a single person that knows that you're wearing this jacket twice.
Yeah, nobody has a log in their, open up their locker and it's like, oh, Amar's wearing, let's see, the shoes.
She's not Taylor Swift at a Chiefs game.
No
one is taking pictures of her.
Right.
No one's posting them on people.com. No one's doing this.
You're not going to see her picture in the magazines.
And also, I even tried to tell her, even if on the slight chance someone does know that you've repeated this jacket, no one's going to care.
Yeah, you also just say, I'm cold.
You go to a uniform school.
Yeah, nobody says, like, did you wear that? That's the worst part about it. It's a uniform school. Everybody's wearing
Everyone's wearing the same clothes every day.
The same thing. But here is the kicker that got me with this whole situation is she got a new pair of pants for Christmas.
Oh, yes.
And she wears those literally
every
single day. Every single day she wears the exact same pants.
Yep.
And so you're like, how is this logic matching up in your mind?
Yep, it's because they're Lululemon pants.
Yeah, and exactly. And so she in her mind is thinking, well, I can get away with these because they are a specific name brand, but my school stuff, I'm not gonna really wear
Well, and then the jaw-dropping moments continue when we kind of put two and two together that last year in middle school she also went to a uniformed middle school.
Yes.
Wore the same
skirt.
Exact skirt.
Same thing. And shirt. And shirt.
shirt. Now I ended up buying her
Yeah.
like multiple of the same black polo
Yep,
because
yep.
I just thought it was gross. She was wearing the same one every day. But it was the same exact uniform
Yeah.
every single day in middle school.
Yeah.
And now she gets to high school and suddenly it's like, I cannot repeat sweatshirts.
I would rather freeze to death and get hypothermia than just wear a jacket.
We've really beaten this dead horse, but
It's crazy.
I know everybody has these stories.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And so you're just left as a parent like, I never thought that I was going to have to convince somebody to put a jacket on when it's 30 degrees outside.
Right.
And you find yourself in this place of like, what do we even say here? But you're running through the log of your mind of like, how is this conversation going to go? How should this dialogue like end? And what should be the action step from here? And I don't think there's a perfect formula and plan to figure it out.
There's no action step. I think some of these things, like some of these stories, you got to just look and be like, you know what? Is this unsafe for her?
Right.
Is this risking her life? Is she going to grow up and be a felon because of this? You know, and like,
I really hope not.
no.
Yeah.
So these are the moments I think I just log in the back of my head so that a few years from now I can be like, remember when?
Yeah, you can laugh
Do you
about it,
remember?
hopefully.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah. And when she grows up and has kids one day and she's, fighting the same battles of stuff like that we're going through with her, you pick them up and be like, hey, there was a time in your life when ...
Yeah.
fill
I
in the
mean,
blank.
our parents are doing that to us right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you earlier, did you ever cut your own hair? Like, did you ever go
Yes.
through an episode of that? And
Yes, I did.
how was it?
Yes, I did. And I'm ashamed to say it was in either middle school or like late elementary. It was not toddlerhood.
Yeah. What did you do? Did you cut bangs or something?
Yep.
Like, what'd you? Oh, no.
Sure was the bangs. And here's the problem. I'm 32 years old now,
Yeah.
and I still think that I can cut my own bangs. Like
I've been married to you when you cut your own bangs. And
No,
so,
sometimes these things never go away, these problems.
right. How did your parents react when you cut your own hair?
I don't know. I don't remember. So it was like, okay, when I was in early middle school, the look, I had bangs that my mom had cut for me, or like my mom wanted me to have like these thick straight across bangs. That was like the cute thing for girls to have in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so I remember wanting to really grow them out when I got older. And so part of my growing out phase was just like splitting my hair down the middle, plastering my bangs to the sides of my head, and like clipping them, like big clips down the side of my head.
So you walked around with just clips all over your head.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
fair.
I don't recommend that fashion now, but I think it was fine back then.
It'll come back at some point.
I'm sure
I
it
hope you
will.
know that.
You know, like the butterfly clips and stuff. Girls do that now. Yeah. But anyway, so I had this one chunk of hair that would not stay back in the clips, like it kept falling forward. And so I looked in the mirror before school and I said, screw this chunk of hair. And I just took the scissors all the way to my scalp.
Oh, no.
To try to cut it off.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yeah. So that was
Yeah.
there for a while.
Do you remember how your parents reacted?
I don't
or
remember
anything?
like getting in trouble or anything. I mean, they probably thought that it was hilarious. They were like embarrassed for
Again,
me.
letting you live in the misery of the decision
Yeah.
that you made.
Yeah, I don't remember getting in trouble for that or anything, but I
right.
do distinctly remember as soon as I did it, I was like, wait, this didn't turn out how I thought it was going to go.
Right. I look like a moron.
Yep.
And I can't change this because my hair doesn't grow
Yep.
super fast.
Yep, that was it.
Wonderful. Well, so we experience these moments where, you have conversations or an action comes up and you're just, jaw-dropping moment in almost a negative way of you're like, you should have made this decision. You shouldn't have said these things. And now my jaw is on the floor because I can't believe we're having this conversation.
Right.
There's also jaw-dropping moments in parenthood where you are like super excited for your kid or you're proud of your child for a decision that they made or something that they said or something that they, did or stood up for somebody, something like that.
Yeah.
When you have those moments, and those are the jaw-dropping moments too, because you're like, are they learning? Like, are they becoming a kind human being?
Right.
Like, are we
It's working.
having success as a parent here? Like, is this what it feels like? And you're just proud and you have those jaw-dropping moments. Can you think of maybe a time where you've experienced that in our home with our kids?
Yeah, there's a couple for sure.
There's probably more than a couple.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the couple that just right off the top of my head,
Yeah.
when our oldest went to homecoming this year, I remember
Mm.
her just being dressed up. Now, I'm not really one for a bunch of pomp and circumstance. I'm not really like an over the top person with those types of moments. Like I know other parents love to be, which is great for them.
Yeah.
But I remember getting her, she was getting dressed up. Some of her friends got ready at our house. I was doing their hair. They were doing each other's makeup. And I
So
remember
much giggling.
so much
Yeah.
giggling. It's just like, it wasn't totally my cup of tea.
Right.
But I was like, let's, this is important to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is important to her. And I remember we went to their picture location where they were taking pictures. And you were taking pictures of her on this boardwalk with this like sunset behind her. And I remember looking at her in that moment and I was just like, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Jaw dropping.
Yeah. I mean, jaw dropping because she's absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Stunning.
Yeah.
It's not even fair that a ninth grader gets to look as pretty as she looks. Considering I was still trying to grow out my bangs when I was in ninth grade,
Still
it's
struggling.
It's not fair.
Right.
But then those are the types of moments where memories just start flowing back of like, we have come so far.
So far.
And she has worked so hard to do so many different things personally and emotionally, and looking at where she has come from to where she is now. Like it's easy to get really caught up in the negative moments of life and the, oh, she's not there yet moments.
Yeah.
But that moment at homecoming, taking those pictures, was a defining moment where I was like, she has come so far.
Right.
And she looks like glowing, like from the inside out. She was just glowing.
Yeah. I remember seeing her in that moment and being like, wow, this is going to be a problem. Like she's too pretty.
Yeah.
Like,
but it wasn't even like, I don't even mean like superficially on the surface, but like just genuinely you could see joy in her eyes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love when my kids are experiencing joy.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the thing nowadays is like that gets me most joyous in my heart is watching my kids enjoy life, right? Watching them succeed at something, watching them battle through the failures, all those things. I remember that night specifically was a big night for you personally as a mom of a daughter who was in foster care and is now adopted, when she had her friends come over and asked you a specific question. You remember what she asked you? And the getting ready of the girls?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You have no idea?
I don't think so.
When she asked you
yeah.
to do their hair.
Oh.
That's a big deal.
Yes.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wanted me to do her hair, and then she wanted me to do her friend's hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
That's an intimate like moment that she's inviting you into, of like getting ready with her friends, and my mom's gonna do our hair, and then you did their hair.
You captured a really sweet picture that I'm just gonna keep forever and remember on the bad days. It was like a mirror picture of me doing her hair in the mirror, and then her just like beaming, smiling about something, like laughing about something in the mirror. I was just like, this is it. This is peak motherhood right
Pinnacle.
here. Yeah.
Pinnacle of parenthood.
Yeah.
For me, in my jaw-dropping moment, the dynamics of our family changed when we opened our home to our son. And he came in here, and so many things changed. So many dynamics changed, right?
Did.
I lived in a home dominated by females, and now I have a buddy. I got a buddy now. This is my dude. He walks around with his shirt off.
Yep.
He makes messes. He invites me to throw the football with him.
He like farts on the girls.
Farts in the girls, and then
thinks
giggles
it's-
about it. And it's
Oh,
the
man.
funniest little laugh you've ever heard in your entire life.
He
And I
thinks that's
love
the
it.
greatest thing in the
Yeah,
world.
and it just makes my heart happy when I'm bumping around like an idiot. But he's so great. But when we opened our home to him, I didn't know the early years of his life. I didn't know what he liked. I don't know what like he was into. And so we kind of developed those bonds over the years. And I remember him getting really into sports and asking to play football. And just me and my background, I played football growing up, and I had some really great memories of my dad throwing the football out front of the house and running pass patterns, making them crisp 90-degree angles, and being out there until dinner was served and all that stuff. And then my dad coming out to all of my football games and watching them and cheering from the sideline. Like those were like core memories for me growing up of just that just brought me joy. And he asked to start playing football, start playing tackle football, and that's obviously like a decision. We were like, yes. He's a little bit of an aggressive meatball kind of human being, and he's a big bone kid and just wants to hit.
Yeah, there's no hesitation for us.
So we got him up the street and doing his little football thing, and he joined a little bit late, and they put him on the defensive line, and I was kind of happy and bummed-ish about that because I know how fast he is. And as a parent of like a sports parent, I'm trying not to be that prototypical sports parent where they like yell at the coach and like write letters to the organization.
Yeah, your first season, you don't want to come in like that.
No, I don't want to come on hot, right? But I'm thinking in my head, this kid's fast. You can give him the football, he'll score a touchdown. Like just get the ball in his hands. Let's see what he can do, right? And I remember late in the season, it was playoffs, week 1, I think, and their team was up by a lot, and they put him in at quarterback. And I remember thinking to myself, this is the moment. Like I already stand during the games anyways on the sideline, and I pace back and forth, and I'm probably unhealthy, and my blood pressure is really high. But I remember he got the snap, and he took off on the left side of the field, and he just started sprinting towards the end zone. And I remember in my mind, I'm just screaming, go, like go, like get into the end. Like we're just trying to like get him there, like with our willpower, pushing it into the universe of getting him into the end zone. You're freaking out. I'm freaking out. He's got the end zone in front of him. He has one kid to beat. This kid, he smokes him like right past him. And he goes and he scores a touchdown. And I run to the end of the field. I'm pretty sure I jumped the fence and went on the field to give him a high five and a hug. I was so proud. And you know what it brought me back to? And this is probably selfish of me because it was his moment and he was celebrating and it was his touchdown. But it brought me back to the moment of my first touchdown and like how excited I was. And the first person I looked for after I scored my touchdown was my mom and my dad in the crowd. And I just remember that moment so vividly and so perfectly in my mind. It happened in the fields over in Oldmar where he plays flag football now, so a little sentimental there. But I just had this moment, and I was so excited for him because it was such an amazing accomplishment for him, and he was so excited that he just scored a touchdown.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he did a little touchdown dance.
Oh,
which
did.
we
He
talked.
did like the gritty.
We had to talk to him about, hey, bro, like act like you've been there before. Be a little bit more professional. But he was so excited, and I loved just the moment. Like it was smiles.
Yep.
It was us freaking out. It was joy, and I want so badly, and I know you want so badly too, for those moments to outweigh the other moments, right? Those jaw-dropping moments to outweigh the other jaw-dropping moments where we're like, okay, we need to move on from this, and this is horrible that's happening in our life, right? And so I think we talked about at the beginning of this is, you replicate what you celebrate. And so I think as parents in those moments, the best things that we can do is lean in, celebrate with our kids, encourage them, and push them towards more great things. And I think there's a balance there of pushing your kids. We don't have to get into that kind of podcast today.
Right.
But what would you say about these moments in general? Like what's a wrap up thought you can give to us here?
My first thought as you're saying these things is I've been really surprised at myself on the moments that have made my jaw drop, like the moments of proud wows that I've had. Like if you had told me several years ago that I would be crying at an 8-year-old playoff football game, like I would have thought you're crazy. But like here I am on the sidelines in Dade City, like in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like literally crying because my child is winning his 8-year-old playoff football game.
Yeah.
It was just like there was just so much emotion in that. Does the game mean anything in life? No. Like literally no.
It means something to him though.
But it means something to him. It means something to his team. There's like a camaraderie there. And then it's moments of just being so proud. Like the lessons of him working hard, learning how to follow instructions, learning how to be a selfless teammate, and just like all of these things, and watching it culminate successfully for his team to win a game and do really well. I'm literally sitting there as he like gets a sack against the quarterback in double overtime.
Yeah.
And I'm crying. And I run out onto the field when it was over, and I grab his face mask and I go, I'm so proud of you.
He's like, okay, I gotta go get my orange slices.
He's like, okay, thanks. Like,
right.
But so all that to say, I'm like tearing up thinking about it again. I was so proud of it. I love it.
Right. And I think it's so key to communicate that with your kids too, right?
Oh yeah.
Like you like for us, it's sometimes hard for us because the emotional connection that we have with our kids, oftentimes with our own kids, and I'm talking about our unique situation, foster and adoptive kids, that emotional bond can sometimes feel super one-sided.
Yes.
Right? And so I think getting up in their face, telling our son, I'm so proud of you. Telling our daughter, I'm so proud of you. Telling them, you look beautiful. You're doing such a great job. You're playing so well. Even if it does feel one-sided and they say, okay, thanks, gotta go, bye. See ya. Or please stop talking about this. For their self-esteem and for their growth and for their side of the emotional connection, I think it's so key that we do those things, right?
Yep. And I would just say to myself, the lessons I'm learning is stay very open-minded as to what those moments are that are going to wow you.
Yeah.
I think I would have a tendency personally to set bars really, really high for those moments. But kids don't need those high of bars in order for parents to be proud of them.
Yeah. I would say so too.
Just looking at the little moments of like, we've been talking about this and you just did it.
Seeing it live out.
Yeah. And so just those little moments and being okay with it not being the giant milestones that you tend to expect.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you graduated from 5th grade. You walked across the stage at high school. Like, obviously you're going to be proud in those moments. But looking for it in the day-to-day is the lesson I'm learning of how to find those moments.
Right. Yeah, like I'm so proud of you for speaking into a microphone at your play.
Right.
Those are the things, right? And on the flip side of that, and the jaw-dropping moments that catch us off guard that make us a little angry or a little frustrated or a little annoyed, like the hair clipping, and you're like, dude, we just talked about this literally 6 weeks ago. What are we doing here? How we react in those moments too is so key. Is continue to coach. They made a dumb decision, but again, it's not one of those life-altering decisions.
Right.
And as parents, you gotta toe the line between trying to teach a lesson and give consequence and all those things, but also trying to bring them to a place where they are understanding themselves. That probably wasn't a good idea. That probably wasn't a good idea. I caught a lot of people by surprise by pulling that move. And your hair looks ridiculous. So here we are, right? Yeah. Well, we wanted to say thank you guys for listening to this show today, and we will catch you back next week with another episode of the Unprofessional Parenting Podcast. This has been Matt.
And Lainey.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time.
Bye.